The President and Commander-in-Chief of Armed Forces has spent 30 days in office. We are going to be looking at some of the action-taking policies that have been made, how it's going to impact on the country and on Nigerians. From my immediate left in the studio is the President of Network of Civil Society of Nigeria, the President, Emmanuel Obidi. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you very much, and very good morning, viewers.
And sitting very close to him is no other person than Comrade Collins Amadi. He's a grassroots politician and one of the leaders in the APC. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. Good morning, GPO. Good morning, viewers.
Okay, let's start with you. What's your assessment on the president's 1 month in office, Amadi?
Oh, thank you very much. To be candid, you will agree with me that things have, if not completely stabilized, but almost near stabilization for him to officially, with his team, kick off. Right now, we will not say things have started the way we are expecting it, but you will understand that Nigerians also understand that when a government just comes in, he needs some apple of time, if not hours or weeks, probably maybe a month, to set the machineries on gear so it can kick off at when it ought to. But right now, with the modalities he's putting in place, with appointments he's made so few and some changes he has made, probably on the area of the security and some others, expectations are high. Nigerians are set for a good deal. It's obvious that good things are about to come, and that excites some of us. Because we have hardly seen a government in 1 month have put in so much mechanism in place to reawaken the Nigerian people to fully expecting so much. Not just because he's really gone around the country to say, vote me, when you vote me, I'll do well. But having been voted, we saw actions taken so far, and we are very pleased. Like in the area of security, for example, you give it to him that since he assumed office, we have had 75% stability, you know, in the area of security.
From your analysis?
Yes, from my analysis and from view of many. This subsequent killing that was on, everything came down. Even in the southeast, you saw everyone is trying to come and either discuss or give him the chance to play the card.
With a smile on your face, it's obvious you are really having a good day and a good feel with the administration
very
of Ahmed Bola Tinubu.
Very exciting.
Okay, let's come to our President, Emmanuel Obidi.
Yeah, thank you very much.
The first 30 days in office of President Bola Tinubu, what's your take?
The truth is, we have to, at this point in time of our nation's history, and activities, we must begin to speak truth to power and help our leaders to succeed. Because many a times, the failure of leadership are tied to, you know, the inability of followership to adequately appraise their leaders and tell them where they are missing it. You know, the only thing I see about the current administration is that he currently enjoys almost 120% of loyalty. Why? Because a new government and the administration is still very long, 4 years, except otherwise stated by the court.
Very long and very young.
Very long and very young. So he mobilizes and he enjoys all the loyalty that he can get. And to that extent, you see very few persons who can advise the president on the current realities of things. Just to say that the first 1 month, Nigerians are weeping. Nigerians are crying. And the truth is that if you are not ready to improve a situation that you have met, don't degenerate it. If you have not planned enough, you have not gathered enough momentum to change the status quo, of any establishment or a system to the improvement of the people, don't begin by taking it backward. So if you look at some policies that have been rolled out, it has deepened hardship. The last World Bank projection is that by the single exchange rate policy, about more millions of Nigerians has been reduced into the poverty line. We were already the poverty capital of the world during his predecessor, Muhammadu Buhari, and he brought a policy that further deepened those who were the average income earner into poverty line. As I speak to you, you will agree with me that some persons, business individuals in our economy, small and medium scales, who were able to access forex via the central bank rates when they do from M and from A, right now cannot do that. Why? Because the parallel market price, as I speak to you now, officially or unofficially, dollar is 750. So you cannot even, when you are investing, you cannot even approach this CBN to get dollar at a lesser rate. Okay? I would have expected that coming in, that Mr. President will begin from the point of the things that directly affect the common man. One, insecurity. In just last week, about 22 persons, a community was ransacked and 22 persons lost their life, still counting others missing. We have had pockets of same violence that we are seeing. Okay? And also, if you look at the fuel subsidy removal, which ordinarily I view as a miscalculated action. Nobody builds a house from the top. Okay? When you want to chunk out a policy, you look at the implications of those policies to the downtrodden. It is only in Nigeria that we see that leadership pass bulk of responsibility effect to the people. Ordinarily, leadership is supposed to absorb the pressure of economic pressure, security pressure, policy pressure from the people.
Okay.
But in our system, when things are not working well, there is need for more money in the system. Politicians and political leaders will not look at their allowances. They will look at the allowances of the masses.
Okay.
They will not look at their income. They will look at the income and policies that will further bring hardship to the people.
Okay. All right.
So I want him to see it from, my advice is that he should begin to see it from a different perspective and engagement where the hardship will not be more on the people.
Okay, now, Colleague Samadi, from his submission, to an extent, the World Bank is projecting that Nigerians will have to sacrifice an extra of about 5,700 from their earnings to cushion the effect of the subsidy removal. And let's not forget that the president has received a loan of about $500 million to assist women and boost what they do. Do you think that's a right step in a good direction, and considering the fact that Nigerians will have to be spending an extra 5,700 to augment the hurdle and the stiff reality of the subsidy removal?
Thank you. Subsidy or no subsidy, ordinarily, when you have a fair government, when you have a government that have a human face, there should be a way in which citizens' lives are made easier, ordinarily. So we cannot come and rest our problem on the issue of subsidy. Nigeria have issues before now. It's obvious. We all know. And our problems need to be solved. Can we continue to cry upon subsidy? Yes, fuel is how much? In all other parts of the world, how much is fuel? But still they are surviving. Even in Europe and America, we are talking about how much do they get premium spirits.
But don't you think...
I am commissar.
But don't you think...
I am commissar. Let me not be that you soften it. Okay. I know where I'm going.
Okay, take us
So what I'm saying is, it's quite unfortunate that we have been where we are. But in a situation where structures are on ground, to indeed succor those who need succor, this cry will not be much. So that is what we are saying. Let this new government begin to initiate a lot of programs. Let us not be relying it on subsidizing life for people. Let it just be an institution that will remain. When you say you are subsidizing, it's not something that probably should be permanent. They are temporaries. So let us put in programs that will be long and forever lasting if possible. That children unborn will walk into and say, oh, I lost my parents peradventure, or if it yet happens, but still I can go to school. I don't have a job that can sustain me perfectly well and my family. Still I have an institution I can go to and they can help give us some meal to help assist the family. I have a small, not much money. I can do a business. I have an institution I can walk into. They will give me a very limited interest rate loan. Or I can get a grant that will be monitored also by an institution to make sure it's being used. This is the thing we are talking about. We cannot continue to throw stone all the time and not allow things to work. World Bank have over the time given projection that had never worked. In 99% of everywhere around this world.
You think so?
Of course I don't know so. World Bank has become a shenanigan. Most of their branches and institutions have become so political too. Because those who fund it are using it now for their interests. They are using it to undermine some and allow some countries not to even grow by their so-called fictitious statistics that have not been real. All the statistics they have given many a time in 2025, in 20 millennial goal development that they have not been setting up around the world, giving African countries. Where are African countries today? Sometimes they will say they are assisting them. If you are assisting, would you monitor what you are assisting and make it work? The ecological issues Africa have had, probably even Nigeria have been a victim. And they said they have been giving some assistance. What we are now wondering, are you giving an ecological assistance to countries and at the end of the day you go through back and take your percentage and they are not using it? Otherwise, who have been persecuted?
Now this brings me back to the...
We have World Bank grants, for example, I'm landing here, you come in. We have World Bank grants, for example, that we given to some parts of African countries. Probably Nigeria was involved. And states were involved and state government were put in. Today, in many of the states today, they have refused to give grants to those who were giving grants. What is World Bank doing? The sister agencies that gave her this money, what are they doing? When state government are using grants meant for the ordinary people and small case business to be running election and going to petition tribunals.
I want to take you back to the question I asked you earlier. Will the 500 from 418 naira to about 518 naira current fuel price compared to 180 something naira that it was being sold for, do you think it's easy for Nigerians to just accept the reality? As a Nigerian,
it's not easy, we know. It's not easy. It pains all of us. I am also paying. For the past 3-4 days, I know I was discussing with my friend yesterday when we were sitting somewhere taking some very cold water. I said, I've been buying fuel every day. I've been buying almost 8,000 naira. Okay. Because I walk, I make sure my leg doesn't stay in one place. But beyond that, I usually don't get up to that before. But it's just a body. And we are trying to all adjust.
Okay.
For a while, it's temporary.
Okay, now,
we are very sure that with time, when things begin to work, when we begin to see a standard infrastructure, electricity, good road to access, and you repair your vehicle less. Right now, we repair our vehicle almost every 2 days because of the roads. Okay. From beginning of Sapele Road to the end of Sapele Road, it's not possible, for example. And whenever you want to drive through that road, you can be sure that you are going to the mechanic in the next minute.
I'll come back to you. Emmanuel Obidi. Looking at some of the initiatives and actions taken so far by this administration, do you think it's going to help boost our economy in a way?
Back to what we are talking about. You see, the truth still remains that what what will bring about the improvement of your economy and all about the standard of living of the people. Even if you say your economy today is the best, it is tied to the standard of living of every citizens. If that policy, if the economy, decisions in the economy cannot improve the life of the ordinary man in the street, then it means it is failing. And what are some of those things? They are basic. They are basic for any political leadership or government that want to be sincere with the people. Okay? Now, take for example, the issue of fuel subsidy removal. Now, people who can sustain themselves ordinarily before with maybe little income, right now, if they work in a place or in a location that needs transportation to their offices or their business places, the transportation effect of the economic policy has eaten up both their capital and both what they were supposed to use to sustain. If you run a micro and a small business right now, which is the driver of any economy, because there is no power and you now buy fuel for 5.30 or 5.11 as the case may be, your profit is being eaten up. And that business individual will have no choice than to do what? Push the bulk of this financial pressure and stress to its customers. Now, what is the effect of the economic policy? You rate the effect on how it has directly affected the people. Now, look at the issue of insecurity. Food in our system today, the price of food has skyrocketed. Why? Because farmers who ordinarily should go to farm, make their produce and bring it to the people, cannot go to their farm. Why not start from these basic things that will improve local production?
Okay.
You cannot build from the top. He is supposed to start from the basic policies and engaging local productions that will improve our standard of living and the economy, so that even if you earn 5,000, you might be able to make some ends meet.
Okay.
So if that is not done, and you are looking at removal of fuel subsidy, removal of education subsidy, removal of electricity subsidy, with which income? There is no corresponding increase in salary yet. You have done and made all of these moves, but you have not prepared adequately for what ordinarily should be a succor. If, for example, the roads in Nigeria are federal roads and every other roads are good, and I'm very sure I will not fix my car and do repairs for another 1 month, maybe I will not be too bothered that I will buy more fuel. If I'm very sure that I will not run generator constantly, almost 12 hours a day to sustain my little business, maybe I will not be too concerned if electricity bill is maybe increased, or I will not be too concerned that I will need to buy fuel to sustain.
Power issue has been an age-long issue that didn't start now. Your successive administration has battled with power.
Now look at it.
Goodluck Jonathan to Yar'Adua, then to the immediate past president, and of course this one. It's not a new thing.
Look, we must not continue to shy away from responsibility. Leadership is all about responsibility. As far as this current government is concerned, if you ask me, this government has been in power for 8 years, and we have seen another transition. So every government must take responsibility. That power has been an age-long thing doesn't mean the administration that just ended could not solve it or should not solve it. And the one that we are in now, we say because it has been an age-long thing, let's continue like that. Okay. Yes, sir, is no.
All right.
Because you see, why we need to begin to bring this to our leaders is, take for example, health. Our political leaders for the past 8 years, Muhammadu Buhari was president, all his medical trips were in abroad. For example, nothing told him that tomorrow you will not be president. These facilities that you go to access in other countries, why not set it up in Nigeria? So that when you are no longer president, you can even access it locally.
But why they were living,
and even
why they were leaving office, the wife actually said that with the facility they have currently now in the state house, government house,
and
no president will need to travel out.
And they still went abroad. In short, the current president also went for medical vacation. What are we for medical trips? Okay. So what are we saying? That is to tell you that even the one that is gone and the one that is here is having no altar of belief in a health system. They still patronize outside the country. So how will they fix it?
We'll call back to you. Now, let's trust the issue of subsidy once and for all on this platform. I would like to take you through this. Few minutes after swearing in of the president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, he actually completed the removal of fuel subsidy, which was initiated by the previous administration, by saying subsidy is gone. And some analysts are saying that statement alone was a pointer that actually caused so many unrest in the nation. As soon as he said it, few hours after that statement, fuel prices skyrocketed, and people didn't find it easy till now. Nigerians are still trying to find their feet after that statement was made. Do you think they are wrong?
Yes, I wouldn't say they are wrong, you know, because of the gladiators that are involved in the scam and the subsidy. So they need to heighten tension. They need to make Nigerians feel the whole world was let loose. But before I really just go in there, I just want us to not really get people misunderstood sometimes. Since the president assumed office, you and I have monitored every of his action and activities. And we know he has not spent 3 days out of this country on any private life. No talk of going for medical tourism anywhere. So what he has gone for, his first major trip, was to attend the economic summit. And after which, he visited the former president in UK just for a day. And the next day was back to Africa. And since he has been moving. So please, let's not start saying he's already patronizing.
You are speaking like you are one of his entourage.
Of course, because this was one of the government I took my strength to build. So for the fact that
you built this government,
I took my time to join, to build.
Okay.
So I just want us to get Nigerians well informed. But beyond that, you are talking about the fuel subsidy. Yes, over the time we have talked about it. Nigerians themselves, we have had a system where everybody does what he or she likes. Even the government can't control some of our people because of our outrageous attitude. Our attitude sometimes, I'm sure that's why some people say is easier to even govern some elements than governing citizens of Federal Republic of Nigeria. Though the statement probably could be quite unfortunate, but sometimes you have to see some reality in it. Now, how can someone have said, and we knew that the fuel subsidy was within a period of time, and the president made a statement and said, fuel subsidy within this period is being said not to be subsidized. And when I come, I'm not going to encourage it, neither am I going to patronize it. Nigerians, fuel subsidy is gone, after which and which time, which has been appropriated for. But some people took advantage of it, and we saw some governors rolling out all measures quickly to start checking some of those marketers and those petrol filling stations managers who own and were trying to hold them. But now it cannot be up alone. That is why governance is from top to grassroots. That is where the governors need to come in, they will come in. Where the local government council ESCOs need to come in, they will come in. Government is encompassing. We have 3 tiers of government. It doesn't lie on one. When one makes statement, the other one manages it from there, while the other one finishes his work. But we have a system, for example, where local government have been completely brought in a state of comatose, where they don't even have finance to even on their own get a vehicle for utility, for example, because everything they must do must come from the governor's tables, and the governors have made them so to the level of becoming a beggars, so they cannot even go out and function without taking an approval from state houses. And it's not supposed to be. So that is why many things are on hold. We are talking about food not getting to the people and all of that. Before now, we know how politics used to play. Local government play more pivotal role in all of this we are talking about. In these local settings we are talking about of agriculture, local governments used to, on their own, get fertilizers, outside fertilizer, get cocks, get mazes, call farmers within a jurisprudence, gives to them and said, okay, for these people in this area, take this maize used to cultivate the next farm period that was set in. The same thing accrue. Okay. Even on the area of security, we see how they used to relate closely with traditional rulers to make things work. But can you be going to traditional rulers or local authorities with bare hands? Okay. You must go with them by way of little empowerment from your own quarter.
All right, now,
but today they are all handicaps.
Emmanuel Ogbede, yes. There have been major shake-up in the security architecture. Security chiefs were changed. We have new ones on board. But the outgoing one or the outgone ones now, from information we have, they will be having 4 SUVs, about 20 domestic staffs, and domestic staff, and of course they will be having 36 military personnel attached to them if you check the calculation. And we are talking about cutting down cost of governance. And people are saying if service chiefs are going to have all these entitlements, what now? How much will the political office class leave the office with? And how are Nigerians going to survive? That's bringing me back to one of your submissions that you said the citizens are made to pay for the expenditure of the ruling class. How do we start to strike a balance and make a U-turn to ensure that we have a stabilized economy?
Thank you very much. Please, before I quickly answer your question, let me just throw more light on this. You know, when our president was elected, he became president-elect. We know he already took out time and jet out of the country for medical attention. Okay. So let's get that very clear.
Was it medical attention?
No, you cannot. No, when you were talking,
by the time the president left immediately after he was sworn in, he said he was already ahead, going to negotiate out Nigerian
You have the floor now, Emmanuel Ogbede. Please,
which we saw when he was sworn in.
Let him take the lead. Go ahead.
So please, let me continue. Then also on the aspect of fuel subsidy, I talked about planning. Our leadership don't have they have not imbibed the culture of planning. If you look at the budget for 2023, subsidy was paid up to the end of June. And on May 29th, an incoming government made a statement that remove fuel subsidy is fraud. In a sane society and in a sane system, it ought not to be so. And we've just heard that by that singular statement or by that policy of removing premature removal of the fuel subsidy, over 400 billion was saved, withdrawn back into the economy by the books. But what is the plan? What is the plan of the government to do with 400 billion? That money has come now. Nobody is asking questions. Okay, what has not been done since subsidy was not subsidized in June?
Serap has asked them to give accounts.
Thank you very much. So that is to tell you that our government built from the top. They start building houses from the roof to foundation, which is very wrong, and that's why we'll be missing it. Now let's come to security. You see, there has been a culture in this part of the world when every political leader emerged, they look for someone within the military architecture and other security agency who they perceived ordinarily not just by competence or capacity, but by way of political patronage and loyalty, and make appointments. And I will tell you that it is not too healthy for our security system, because we have capacities. When you retire individuals up to maybe 100 for the sake of making an appointment, my brother, it is wrong. It is wrong. I can tell you that looking at the insecurity situations in the country, Nigeria is almost like a country at war. And if you look at our budget for defense, okay? Now, you make appointments, and by reason of that appointment, it affects generals, it affects intellectuals who ordinarily have capacity to improve the security system in our country. I want to quickly say that we must begin to find a way around it. If you appoint somebody and maybe you need to lift an individual from one position in order to appoint, and he becomes the commander or the chief of army staff or the chief of defense staff, that position ordinarily supersedes any other position in the hierarchy of the army. And every other person's below, has to fall in line and obey. You don't need to necessarily retire those capacities.
So appointment is higher than rank.
My brother, it is. It is. Immediately you head that organization, and the military or our forces is a disciplined organization. Whether by age or by whatever means you are senior to your boss, it doesn't count.
Okay.
If by his office, he gives a command and everything flows.
Okay.
And if you look at the truth is that, considering the security setup of our country today, you cannot rule out the fact that you need security to guide our service chiefs. Why? Because you cannot send your commander to the battle. If they take out your commander, the whole system is porous. So they know that even the system is not safe. And the truth is that we need to start building a general security rather than security around individuals and VIPs. Okay. That is why you see VIPs today, they cannot move around without having securities all around them. But if we can change the system of bringing about community policing, where in every junction you have a police station with gadgets working, communication working, and there is swift response of 2 minutes to any part of the country, then a military general can work with just his aide or even himself to do his function.
Right, Colin Samadi, quickly, looking at the marching order given to the remaining generals to tender their resignation letter today. Today's deadline given to them to quit or to bow out of the military setting. Do you think is out of place, as their juniors have been appointed over them? Anyway, in the military, appointment, they say, is higher than rank. I remember during the military regime, a colonel can be a governor of a state, and you still have brigadier generals, major generals in that same state. But that doesn't stop the colonel from being the governor and chief executive officer of the state. So let's take us through that.
I think it's quite painful for me. It's just the system where we have found ourselves. Just as I said, maybe they should see how they can do something around it. Because ordinarily, I wouldn't have worked in a system for 25 years. And believing that very soon, I will also garner experience from those ahead of me. Whether some experiences were good by way of those people leading us, some may be good, some may be bad. Having taken the good and the bad together and say, okay, I will work on this, I will add this, then I'll be a better leader. And almost getting there, and someone else is come, and I'm not allowed to even become his advisor as a way of having gathered enough experience. But we are just asked to all go and sit down and say someone else should. But it's quite painful. But Nigerians have also been the one calling for that. I say all these ones on top are bad heads. Let us remove them and bring young people. Young people are more digital, are more experienced. So here we are, youth government. let the old go. That's what they have been saying. When people like us over the time were saying it is not about age, it's all about what you can offer. But some persons felt we didn't like the constituency we were in. I'm from the youth constituency. But here we are now. The stone you want to throw at B, did you forget can come to W? Here we are. So even when we are trying to program our country and give advice that will help lead us aright, let us not do it on the basis of immediate. Let us do it on the basis of capsulating the entire system the way it ought to run.
Okay.
But I wish them well, having said their fatherland, in the area, even at the level they've gone to, it really didn't stop. If they have also been exceptional, I'm sure they would have been picked out.
Okay.
You know,
Emmanuel
to be candid, I give it to them.
The president has been doing a lot. Bills have been signed, like the student loan bill, the electricity bill too. So many things are just on board for the president to handle. And some people are saying, yes, the president and commander-in-chief of armed forces seems to understand the mandate he's been given, and he seems to know what he's doing, and he's going to deliver at the end of this first tenure. What says you?
Well, it is our sincere prayer that the president delivers, and it is his responsibility to ensure that he delivers on the mandate and his promises. Okay? But the truth is that you will agree with me that we cannot start judging at this point in time now that because XYB are signed and that tells us what the next 4 years or so will be. Towards the tail end of the president of the administration of Muhammadu Buhari, some of his aide and himself begin to say that we will miss Muhammadu Buhari, and it became a prayer point that may we never have a time where we begin to miss the past administration. But few months into this one now, people are already missing the administration of Muhammadu Buhari because Nigerians are not finding it funny anymore. So the student loan bill that you are talking about, have you assessed it? How many students have assessed it? But across the country, because of the multiple and ripple effects of the policies that have also been made, there is corresponding increase in tuition fees and costs of accessing our education facility, and by extension that will also have a ripple effect in what's it called, our health sectors. We also saw a circular where they released a circular how generators should be on in our hospitals, our general, our teaching hospitals. So if you have an emergency towards the time where a generator is not supposed to be on in that public facility, then we all candle for patients. That's where we are in Nigeria now.
Okay, now. Okay, he said.
Judging with some of those policies that have been signed, we are calling on Mr. President to look into the things that will immediately give succor to Nigerians, and make performance based on his promises to the people to improve the life, not to worsen the already worsening situation of Nigeria.
We'll come back to you. Collins Amadi, the immediate past president promised Nigerians that we were going to see change. Nigerians were going to see change. And the current administration is telling Nigerians there's going to be renewed hope. What's your assessment? The immediate past government and the current one. Considering their first month in office, is there any difference between...
The immediate past government said we're going to see change. Yes, change in so many areas. There are areas in which he actually gave change, but he kept having sabotage. In the area of rail transportation, for example, he gave it all he can to actually rail the whole Nigerians. But still our people will go to the rail center completed and bomb it, not minding who was riding on it.
And there was no connection from Agbo to Benin City?
I am coming. They were ongoing. Government is a continuity.
Okay.
In the area of security, he met Nigeria at the time Buhari met Nigeria with Boko Haram flag, flew almost everywhere around. And South East come to South East, there were a lot of issues. They come to South South, We had issues he was also battling, like the Niger Delta and what have you, that he had to put in more into the cleaning of the Ogoni environment, put in more into the amnesty program, as it were, that you saw that some arms were dropped. But just to say that there is no perfect government, there is no perfect person. Okay. But in some of the ministries and agencies, we have people who were made of lukewarms, people who didn't have capacity. And the problem, like me had with the president then, was that when somebody is not up to capacity, you change them. But it was finding it difficult listening to people who were being sentimental, religiously biased, ethnically endowed, that saying, oh, you want to remove our person, you want to remove our religious person, this one and this one. And that led to, you know, the kind of a slow pace in which some of the things were running. But however, he may not have done very well, but I give him 45%, you know, at the area in which he did. In the economy area, he tried to give his best. People even recommended, and he went all out to try to see those big names and see what can happen. Okay. But at the end of the day, nothing happened.
Let's take, you wanted to react to what he's saying?
Yeah, I think our government at all levels must begin to take responsibility. It's responsible. Any government that is not responsible and is not willing to take responsibility has failed from day one. Take for example, you cannot see the aspects, maybe for example in the area of insecurity, your service chiefs are failing, there's no effective policing, and the government who is elected, remember, none of all these persons were elected. We elected a president to preside over the affairs of a country. And if you don't take responsibility and you continue to shift it either to the citizen, either to those appointed, either to those consulted, it is a clear indication that that government has failed. So in this new administration, in this new government, we urge them to take responsibility when we see our transport system in the country failing, our health system failing, we see any aspect of the government should be able to say, we have failed. And we are ready to take responsibility to do X, Y, Z to mitigate and turn the tide around. Okay. That is when you see change. Change don't just come because anybody wants to talk. It comes when leadership take responsibility to do the right thing to effect positive impact in the lives of the people.
Okay, now talking about impact, Nigerians are saying, some Nigerians anyway, they're saying that the president is already doing well. Though process are still ongoing in the court from the fallout of the 25th February presidential election, we are still having proceedings going on. But some Nigerians are calling on Peter Obi and Atiku Abubakar to sheath their swords and join hands with the president to ensure that we have a formidable force in the country and forget about their petitions. What says you? Let's quickly start.
The president had his matriarch renewed by way of sometimes some of these things may be long-term policies, you know, in complete fusion. But that doesn't mean the gains cannot start a little bit immediate. We are hoping that anytime soon, maybe in the next middle 6 months, 7 months of his government, Nigerians should begin to feel something. I thank God 400 billion, I said, only for 3 weeks, for example, if we have said that, that means in 3 months, we'll be saving trillions. So that means there can be a more capital project awarded, and contractors joining dry season will all start working. And I'm sure Nigerians across will be happy in all the regions. That means the man wants to save more and follow out so that Nigerians can see. Now for our brothers who are in court, I don't expect anybody to tell them to come out of court. These are processes. Okay. These are what build democracy. If there are areas that were ills, INEC didn't do well, the people didn't even vote well, ballot paper was not well scanned, IV, what have you, didn't work well. Let the courts use the opportunity to know all of this so that those agencies embezzled will not learn thereafter to say we don't want to repeat the same mistake again. Emmanuel, so I think it's all well for
What
Nigeria.
Are your parameters in measuring a government in office? Let's just use that to wrap up. What are your parameters in assessing a government in office?
Yes. Just first of all, we have to look at the standard and cost of living of the people. That is basic. Then 2, we have to look at the performance of the budget in terms of implementation and capital expenditure that is being, chunked. Then we also have to look at basic amenities. Can Nigerians have access portable, good health care? Because we cannot even talk of portable water now, because that will be privatized. Everybody now have their bowl in this country. Can Nigerians access good health care? Can we access electricity at least maybe 18 hours? Okay? Can we sleep with our 2 eyes closed? Can our farmers go to farms without paying security levy to bandits? Okay? Will investors stroll into this country and put their money and trust the system to put in their money and perceive the system as a safe place where they can put in their money and also employ Nigerians? Then, you see, basically also, hunger in this country is becoming an issue. What is the social program, social welfare program of Nigerians? If somebody does not have a job, for example, can that person eat 3 times a day? Because that's ordinary. That is where crime. You see, people fight crime with guns and ammunition. But let me tell you, there's one major way of fighting crime, which is welfare. If I'm not hungry today, they say an hungry man is an angry man. Is that not so? So if Nigerians are hungry today, you will see the effect in violence, crime. You see the effect in robbery and all what have you. Okay. So just to quickly add to what my brother said in that aspect of petition, you see,
we need to wrap
our
up
judiciary is on trial.
Okay.
And at this point in time, just yesterday, the European Union gave their submission in the election 2023 general election, and we have seen their outcome. We have seen their position. So we need to, the judiciary is actually on trial to look critically on the petitions that have been put before them and let justice prevail. All
right, thank you so much. This is how far we can go.
You're supposed to.
This is how far. I actually said he should wrap it up from there. So sorry we can't take this further. We need to take our next segment. Thank you, Collins Amadi, for taking time to join us. We'd like to see you some other time. And of course, thanks so much, Emmanuel Obidi, for always coming through.